to see you, Governor. Good evening. How are you? How are you doing?
Great.
All right.
Great night.
I want you to address the question that some Republicans are raising after the debate.
Yeah.
That the nominee of the Republican Party missed an opportunity to say what every nominee before him has said. Right. That the election results will be respected and honored and peaceful transition will occur. I want you to address that.
Well, first let me say I think Donald Trump had a great night tonight. I think he won the debate outright because he laid out to the American people how we can bring real change to this country, or we can have a stronger America at home and abroad, but it's going to take new leadership. And you heard Donald Trump to speak about a foreign policy that's strong and broad-shouldered, about rebuilding our military, about getting the economy moving again, not with the tax increases that Hillary Clinton's advocating and more Obamacare, but with lower taxes and repealing Obamacare, about dealing with the issue of illegal immigration, not with open borders and amnesty, but by border security, building a wall and through internal enforcement, which the American people long to see. And I thought one of the most important aspects of the whole debate, Major, was when they talked about the Supreme Court of the United States. I was about to check my watch to see how long it would take Hillary Clinton before she even mentioned the Constitution in her answer. I mean, she got this long laundry list of things that she wants the court to do, and Donald Trump, the American people saw tonight, whether it be on the Second Amendment or the sanctity of life, someone who's going to make appointments to the Supreme Court and all of our federal court, that first and foremost are going to strictly construe and interpret the Constitution of the United States. So I think he had a strong night. I can't wait to hit the campaign trail tomorrow and continue to carry that story all the way to election day.
And I appreciate that answer. I appreciate that assessment.
Thanks.
With respect, could you please answer the question I put to you?
Right. Well, I think there's no question that Donald Trump will accept the outcome of this election because he's going to win this election. Donald Trump's going to be elected president of the United States.
Why couldn't he have given the American public that
I'm very confident that he'll accept that.
Which he left them, he said himself, I'll leave you in suspense. That's not the characteristic response to a question that he has himself injected into this campaign.
Well, let's be very clear. I think most Americans observe, with all due respect, the overwhelming bias in much of the national media in this presidential election. I mean, the avalanche of negative coverage about Donald Trump compared with the willful ignorance about all of the scandals emerging out of the years of the Clinton Foundation and her years as Secretary of State, I think is deeply troubling to the American people. For all the world, it looks like the biased media is trying to rig this election in favor of Hillary Clinton. Add to that the very real existence of voter fraud in this country. There are polling places, Major, there are precincts and areas of this country where voter fraud is simply a reality. And I think what Donald Trump has been saying, and we're going to continue to say, is we're going to call on the media for more fair coverage and more balanced coverage, but we're also going to call on every American to recognize the reality of voter fraud. When it happens, it disenfranchises all of us, whatever our politics, and encouraging Americans to respectfully participate in the electoral process so we can have confidence in that vote.
So we could have a lively discussion about the media now and forever.
Yeah.
And I respect your position on that. But to the question of fraud, you as a governor and with a Secretary of State who is accountable to you for these things, your Secretary of State, as many others have said to me, cannot promise you or anyone in this country that there will be zero fraud. So the essential question is, if it's mathematically insignificant, is the election valid and therefore acceptable and peaceful transition understood to be the underlying premise for any presidential election?
I think
can you say that on behalf of your nominee?
The peaceful transition of power in the United States of America is a hallmark of the American experience.
The absence of fraud itself can't be achieved.
What Donald Trump said tonight was, and I wrote it down, is I'll look at it at the time. He's a candidate for president of the United States of America. He has every right. He has the prerogative to wait and see how the election comes out. Sometimes extraordinary circumstances develop, Major. We saw that in the year 2000 when Al Gore conceded the election and then he withdrew his concession and the matter ultimately was resolved in the Supreme Court of the United States.
Ultimately he conceded.
I think what you heard Donald Trump say tonight was out of concern for, frankly, fairly obvious bias in much of the national media and out of concern for pockets and instances of voter fraud around the country that he said he'll look at it at the time. He reserved the right as a candidate for president of the United States of America. But I have every confidence that if this election is conducted in a way that is fair and proper, that we'll move forward as a country.
Last question.